It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah. D-U-E-U.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and wow, it's week 9 in the NFL season. And before we get things started, let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the weekend as we go into our 4-minute offense. We'll take a bit of a unique approach to the 4-minute offense this week by handing out our midseason awards instead. So let's start with the offensive and defensive rookies of the year. On the offensive side of the ball, it's pretty much a toss-up between the Chargers rookie Justin Herbert and Bengals signal caller Joe Burrow. I decided to go with Burrow. Right now, he leads the league in completions and has a 91.4 passer rating and also has thrown 11 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions on the year. The Bengals currently sit at 2-5-1, and you can make a case that they should be at least 4-4 on the season. So Burrow has made a significant impact and difference on this Bengals squad. He keeps them competitive and in some cases in position to win games every week. In my opinion, he's been everything they could have asked for in a number 1 overall pick and a franchise quarterback. The goal now will be to build around him and help him to help them get to the Super Bowl, a place the Bengals haven't been since 1988. Now, over on the defensive side, I went with Antoine Winfield Jr. of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs took Winfield in the 2nd round, and he's played like a top 10 pick for them so far this season. The former Minnesota Golden Gopher has been a box score stuffer, filling up the stat sheet every week, and it's not like it's just tackles for the sake of making tackles. He's making huge plays at or behind the line of scrimmage, and they're coming at crucial times of the game. He's turning the ball over, he's playing solid in coverage, and has been an effective blitzer as well. It's almost like he's doing exactly what he did in college. Adding him to this defense and pairing him with defensive coordinator Todd Bowles was the perfect match and fit. So I'm excited to see how he finishes the season as the Bucs look like a serious contender in the NFC. My midseason coach of the year has to be Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers currently sit undefeated with a 7-0 record on the year and are armed with the top 5 offense and top 5 defense. What makes Tomlin such a great coach is that he's able to get the most out of his guys on game day. Even when things look bleak or they may be on a precipice of collapse, he's able to rally the troops, keep them engaged, focused, and concentrating on the mission at hand. It was shocking to me to find out that this was the best start for Pittsburgh since 1978, the year they went to the Super Bowl. Again, since 1978, the Steelers hadn't had this good of a start. When you start to think about all of the good teams they've had since 1978, for Tomlin to have his 2020 squad accomplish that goal is extremely impressive, especially when you consider what was coming into this year. A banged up Ben Roethlisberger. We didn't know how good he was going to be coming off of that injury. There had some questions about the roster at certain spots, but to have these guys undefeated is ridiculous. Another remarkable stat about Tomlin is that in his 14 years as head coach, he has never had a losing season. It sounds like it is time to give him his just due and etch his name on that Coach of the Year trophy when it's all said and done. This may seem like a cop-out, but it's definitely an honest assessment based off what Tom Brady was last year as a player to how he is performing right now. But yes, Brady is my midseason comeback player of the year. Last season, he tossed 24 touchdowns. This year, he already has 20 touchdowns. Last season, he completed 60% of his passes. This year, he's currently at 66%. Last year, his yards per attempt was at 6.6. That was his lowest since 2013. This year, he's at 7.1 with an adjusted yards per attempt at 7.8, which again was his highest since 2013. His passer rating is at 103.1. That's his highest since 2016. So Brady, who is 43 years old, by the way, is playing some really good football, and I don't think it's far-fetched to say that this guy definitely deserves comeback player of the year this season. For my midseason MVP, Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs definitely makes a very strong case, but I'm going to go with Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawk quarterback is the league leader in touchdown passes with 26, passer rating with 120.8, and has completed 71.5% of his passes, which is the highest of his career. Also with Wilson, it's never just about the passing numbers. On the ground, Russ has already racked up 260 yards rushing, putting him on pace to get just over 500 for the season, which would be his best since 2017. And if we're being honest, Russ has played this way since stepping foot in the league back in 2012. And I'm glad he's getting the respect and credit that he deserves, and that many who has given them the credit now worked hard to not give him throughout the course of his career. So it'll come down to the wire, I believe, in reality between he and Patrick Mahomes, but it can't be understated the year Russ is having in 2020. Let's get you ready for Thursday night football as Green Bay travels to San Francisco in what is a huge matchup in the NFC. Green Bay is coming into this ball game banged up on offense, especially in the backfield. They're going to be without their rookie running back, A.J. Dillon. They're probably going to be without Aaron Jones, who is listed as questionable with a calf injury, so he may or may not play. That leaves Jamal Williams as the lone healthy back in the backfield, but they do have Tyler Ervin. They do have Dexter Williams as capable guys in reserve. So a lot will be put on Aaron Rodgers in that passing game. Try to find success, sustained success against a 49er defense that is fast and athletic and looks to make a lot of plays on the back end. Defensively for Green Bay, for me, it's about making sure they stop the run. San Francisco will be playing with Nick Mullins at quarterback. They will try to establish the ground game. We know they do a great job of running the football, and it's not necessarily with their backs. They get backs involved. They get tight ends involved. They get their receivers involved in the run game. It's all about how they get you to go east and west before they get you going north and south. So they have to make sure they're able to stop the run, setting the edge, force everything downhill, and that's how they can have some success. Also, on the other side of the football, you look at Nick Mullins coming in. He plays efficiently. I think at times he's able to move the football really well against anyone that they play. He just has to find that level of consistency, because you look at this defense he's going to be facing. Yes, there's Zadarius Smith on one side. There's Jaire Alexander. There's guys that can make plays on the ball on the back end. There's guys that can affect the pocket up front. So when they do have to pass, they're going to rely on Nick Mullins to be consistent, concise, and keep that offense on pace. Defensively, we talked about it earlier. It's about making sure they stop the Packers' ground game and force Aaron Rodgers into a one-dimensional approach. Therefore, they can pin their ears back and get after him in the pocket. I do like Green Bay in this ball game. Both teams are banged up. If I had to choose one of the lesser of two evils, I'm going to go with Green Bay. Better quarterback play, much more stability in that situation to deal with those injuries in the backfield. I like Green Bay to win this one on the road against the 49ers. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGo Offense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGo Offense.
Man, it's that old thing, perseverance, consistency, hard work. My goal is to put the same work into, my businesses, my family that I put into football, and I've been running with that mantra since I got married back in '97, that if I'm going to have a successful marriage, I got to, the same hard work and same consistency and discipline I had on the football field, I got to put in my marriage and with my kids and with my businesses and all that. So it teaches you a lot, man. How to deal with your fellow man and not look at his color, but look at what he can do for the overall good of what you're trying to accomplish. So sports to me in general is just an incredible deal when you talk about football specifically, because of the closeness of guys. I just believe it's an amazing sport.
Let's take a look at some of the games in the 1 o'clock window, and we'll start in Atlanta as the Falcons play host to the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are coming off of an impressive comeback victory against the Los Angeles Chargers, where their defense was able to turn the ball over in the red zone and their offense was able to drive down the field calmly and get the game-winning points. When you look at this matchup against Atlanta, it's about how quickly they can apply pressure to Matt Ryan, and on the other side, can they capitalize with those bonus possessions? They can't waste opportunities like we saw them do early against the Chargers. I do like the Broncos in this ball game. Young, athletic team that is hungry. I love the way this team plays. I think they go into Atlanta and get the victory. Hawks travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills, who are coming off of an impressive win against the Patriots, one that took them down to the wire. But when you look at Seattle in this game and how effective they are working touchdown and check down the passing game, along with what they bring to the table from a coverage standpoint at the second level, I think those things will give Josh Allen some issues. I like Seattle to win this one against Buffalo. Should be a great game. Very good test for Buffalo, but I'm taking the Seahawks. The Chicago Bears take on the Tennessee Titans, and the Bears nearly eked one out last week against New Orleans. But in this ball game, it's going to be about how they can stop the run, how they can convert on offense. Can they find that deep ball once again like they did against the Saints? This defense gives you an opportunity to throw the football deep down the field. It's going to be up to Nick Foles to be able to capitalize. I don't believe that'll happen. I love the pressure that the Titans are able to get up front. I'm taking Tennessee to knock off Chicago. The Indianapolis Colts play host to the Baltimore Ravens, and the Ravens are looking to get back on a winning track. It all starts with Lamar Jackson protecting the football. Outside of those turnovers, he played a solid game, and if he didn't turn the ball over, they win that game. So I think their offense is fine. I think the defense will be able to find pressure against Phillip Rivers. They can't allow a guy like Nyheim Hines to get out on the perimeter and cause damage. I do think Baltimore will play a complete game in knocking out Indy. Giants and Washington meet up in the NFC East matchup. The Giants win the first battle 20-19 because of the turnovers from Kyle Allen. In this ball game, the Giants offense can move the ball defensively. I think they're in a better place right now, to be honest, than Washington. They're getting stops, they're active, they can play across the board, they match up really well, but it's about Daniel Jones protecting the football. How well can he do that? I think we'll see them get another win against Washington. I'm not ready to trust the Washington football team offense. I like the Giants. The Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings meet up in an NFC North battle, and the Lions were embarrassed last week at home against Indianapolis. What worked for them earlier before that loss was the fact that they were able to find some balance on offense, and their defense finally looked like it gelled. However, they come into this ball game facing a one-man wrecking crew on offense, and that's Dalvin Cook, who single-handedly beat Green Bay by himself. And defensively, I love what I saw from the Vikings. I think we'll see them replicate that performance against the Detroit Lions team that is inconsistent, that may or may not be without Matt Stafford at quarterback. I'm taking the Vikings. Tough matchup here for Carolina as they travel to take on Kansas City. It's a tough matchup because it's going to force their offense to maximize every possession. They can't have wasted possessions, and Bridgewater has to protect the football. Defensively, that's the other tougher challenge. The fact that they have to guard against those high-flying wide receivers in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes at the helm. This is just too big of a challenge, in my opinion, for Carolina. I like Kansas City in this ball game. They have the offense, they have the run game, they're playing great special teams. Complete win here in KC for the Chiefs. In a great matchup between two young up-and-coming teams, we have the Raiders taking on the Chargers, and I like what I saw last week in Cleveland from the Ravens. Adverse situations, they found a way to win. They won that game 16-6, but defensively, it was about how they were able to rally to the football and make plays on the ball, putting the Browns in disadvantageous situations, getting them off the field, and putting their offense back on the field just to do enough, especially in the run game, to get the winning points. Los Angeles has to be able to protect the football. That's Justin Herbert. He'll make some wild throws, and then he'll make some head scratchers that turns the ball over. If they protect the football, they win a lot of those games that they find themselves losing late. So I like the Raiders in this game. They showed me throughout the course of this season they can win close, tight games. I think they'll do the same this week against the Chargers. The Houston Texans are in desperate need of a victory, and what a surprise. They get to go play the Jacksonville Jaguars, who will be starting a new quarterback, their rookie, and Jake Luton out of Oregon State, who's a tremendous passer, but this is his first start. He's going up against J.J. Watt and company, and they have to find a way to get back on the right track. I think they will in this ball game. It's not too much to look at this team and say, hey, rookie quarterback, experienced defensive front, they should cause havoc. I think they will. I'm taking the Texans. Speaking of a bad matchup, the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys, who will be starting either Cooper Rush or Garrett Gilbert. I think personally they should go with Garrett Gilbert. I think he's a better player. Either way, whoever starts, going to face the Steelers defense that's top 5 in the league, and offense that's top 5, going up against a defense that gives up so many big plays in the passing game. Pittsburgh should win this one handedly. Love this matchup here between the Miami Dolphins and Arizona Cardinals. Two young, exciting quarterbacks in Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray Tagovailoa is going to have to do a lot more in this ball game, as the defense did a lot of the heavy lifting in their victory against the Rams. In order to attack this Cardinals defense, he's going to have to be accurate, deadly accurate in the intermediate area of the field. That's going to be key in this game. For Kyler Murray, it's about, can they finish drives with touchdowns and not settle for field goals? I feel like they take a lot of attempts, but they don't pay off with buckets, to use a basketball reference. I think they will get those buckets in this ball game. I like the Cardinals to get the win. In the Sunday night matchup, you have the Saints taking on Tampa Bay for the second time this year. The Saints offense can be productive, but they're not dynamic. They do get Michael Thomas back. That should be a huge help for this football team, but offensively, they still need a little bit more in order to be successful. Defensively, it's going to be a track meet. Can those defensive backs keep up with the downward passing game they're going to see from Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I think that's the toughest challenge in this matchup. I don't think we'll see that again like we saw in week 1. I like Tampa Bay to win this one against New Orleans. And finally, on Monday Night Football, you have the Patriots traveling to New York to take on the Jets. It's about whether or not Cam Newton can get on the right track. He had that game won, I believe, against Buffalo. He just fumbled the football, so he's starting to play better than we saw in the last couple of weeks. In comes a Jets football team that is struggling to put together any level of consistency or continuity. I think the Patriots get back right. This is a get-right game. I like them big over New York. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network, located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating.
It's tell I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.